This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics. I'm Roby Brock with John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Good to see you in person. We've been doing a bunch of virtual stuff, it seems, for everybody under the sun.
Well, we did something for continuing legal education for the bar, which I thought was hilarious, and probably is going to turn out to be a scandal that lawyers get hours credit for listening to us for an hour. And then we did a business group executive forum up at the Walden School, did it by Zoom, and I thought it's fun to do it. I enjoy doing that with you. And
I got some credit for some CPAs for doing something similar on my own. And I think scandal is the right word.
Well, I think academic and continuing education standards apparently have been relaxed under the pandemic. But
all right.
Maybe it was helpful to the listeners.
Since we last visited,
Yes.
We still have a president who is in denial that he has lost an election, despite our own governor saying that he acknowledged that he has lost the election. He kind of backtracked off of a tweet on Sunday about whether or not he had lost the election or not. How much longer does this go on, do you think?
Gosh, I don't know. It's Trump. You do not ask anybody to make predictions about the behavior of Trump. But you would think, one, the certification of the vote. It's done, and that is your opportunity to say, well, okay, I'm left with no recourse, and it's been certified, and it's a crooked, and I'm not coming to the inaugural, and this is awful, and I'm not going away, but I'm from the public view. There would be that possibility. There would be the Electoral College's vote, which is in early January. Mm-hmm. There would be the Georgia Senate race, where he would continue to keep the base riled up in Georgia to try to advance the chances of those two senators and have them beholden to him, which is what he wants the Republican Party to be. Those would seem to be the logical would be the second day after the election, if not the first day after the election, to concede. That's what would have been logical. But those are three opportunities that the ripest opportunities I now see.
What do you make of Asa saying that publicly? Because this is a Republican elected official that, if you look at the totality of it, a lot of them still are not even coming out and admitting that he should concede defeat.
Well, Asa said it on Meet the Press, right? Mm-hmm. And Chuck Todd of Meet the Press tweeted shortly before the show that every Republican member of the U.S. Senate had declined to come on. The Republicans in the U.S. Senate were not willing to be confronted even with the question that Asa answered. This goes to show a couple of things. One of which is Asa said, I expect Joe Biden to be the next president. That's what he said. That got him beat up from both sides. Check his Twitter feed. He's getting nailed from the Democrats and the liberals who are saying, what do you mean you expect it? Why can't you say it? And then from the right, they feel that he's completely sold out. This is what happens to you when you speak accurate, fair-minded things without service to the two beasts that are the extremes. And Asa has done that in Arkansas, which is why I've always gotten along with him and considered him to be a pretty good governor. He avoids the extremes and he seeks pragmatism. And pragmatically, it is simply a fact. More votes win. Popular vote and electoral. Joe Biden won. He won't go so far as to say that. But I think he has maybe because he's term limited, maybe he can't figure out what he's going to be running for again, or maybe his nature is to fashion, he thinks there's a need in the party for some national realism. And he's decided, looks like maybe I can do that. Maybe there's a place in the National Party for somebody who will say, I expect the guy who got 306 electoral votes to be president. As I put on Twitter, it was a national news headline yesterday, the headline of which should have been, Man in Arkansas Accepts Math. And it got quite a bit of
There are still
retweeting.
Quite a few Trump supporters that are not acknowledging that that math has been.
This is not a question. It's just this is one of the least irregular elections we've had. Trump's own pre-election warnings of fraud led to it to be more watched, observed, and more properly done than any other. The Georgia recount is out, is about to be out. It's not going to change anything. It's going to be 306 electoral votes. It simply is. And I think, and they keep withdrawing from their legal cases. It's crazy. It's crazy. And Asa is not crazy. And Asa expressed some cautious, carefully phrased sanity. That's all he did. That's all he did. And it was a big deal.
The governor now comes back to Arkansas to think about his, not that he's left Arkansas, but I'm just saying his agenda for the next legislative session. He's starting to hang some things out there about some things he wants to do with the budget, particularly in tax reform. Mm-hmm. I think this will be the big area there. What do you think is realistic this next legislative session for him to get through? We've already seen some legislative resistance to quite a few of his proposals, particularly the enticement to lower the top income tax rate for people to move to Arkansas.
Right. I think a middle class working man tax cut by giving some relief from a used car tax within a price range is a targeted kind of tax increase for a purpose to assist people who need the help and probably can succeed. I think the general drawdown of the top tax rate, which is the only thing he's got left in terms of what all he wanted to accomplish, trying to get it to 5.9 eventually. It's going to 6.6 from 6.9 this year. I think that continues. I think the ability to continue drawing down income taxes at a time when our economy has been under the strain of the virus is a fairly remarkable matter of balancing, possibly getting out of balance by the fact that we have that we're entering a winter of perhaps crisis in the virus. But 2 vaccines are coming. This morning we had a second tested 95%. The one you mentioned, Asa's big thing, he wants Arkansas to be an Atlanta suburb. He wants us to grow. He wants us to explode in high tech and computer coding and all that. It's his big deal. And he thinks if we'll take our top tax rate, which is now 6.6 for this year, and if newcomers to the state will pay 4.9 for 5 years, then all these people are going to come, and they're going to create these businesses, and they're going to make Arkansas a smarter, wonderful, more commercially vibrant place. It happens that my Wednesday column makes unmerciful fun of that proposal. It's rough. It's nonsense to think if a tax rate, income tax rate at the top level is the reason you will place a business somewhere, then why go to 4.9% Arkansas where you can go to 0 Texas or 0 Tennessee if that's the sole purpose? The other is the very concept that we have to bribe people to come here. I find that offensive. We've got lovely dogwood trees, we've got mountains and springs, and we've got some things we're proud of. The price is 6.6% at top income, going to 5.9 for everybody. That's the third. You're basically asking legislators, vote to give somebody who just moved in a lower tax rate than you pay on your top level of income. Go home and tell your top taxpayers that. I think that one, as I think you put it in one of our virtuals last week, looks dead on arrival. I don't know if it is or not, but I hope so, and it ought to be.
I think it's a hard sell for legislators to go back to their constituents and say, I'm giving a tax break to some people that don't live here, but you guys keep paying taxes.
I'm going to give away my whole column. My other point is, if a guy comes here only for 4.9% rate for 5 years, then can we assume the 6th year he's just going to leave? I mean, if that's the, I don't get it. It's one of the silliest things I've seen this administration come up with.
But there's been sillier in the past. Remember the
sure.
$50 tax refund you were going to get in the Huckabee administration?
Right, and also he had the
right before Election Day.
And he created that whimsical Tax Me More fund for those of us who like income taxes. We could just pay more.
How much did you pay into
I
that?
paid quite a bit. I kept it quiet at the time. Not true, not true.
All right. You touched on it earlier. The coronavirus is raging out of control. Right. We've got this balance of the damage it's doing to the economy by the fact that people are sick and aren't going to be participating, but we also have the strain on the healthcare system. And this has been what we've been struggling with all year. Is this Do you think that the governor is inevitably going to have to ratchet some things down further?
I think the governor is, and I think, lo and behold, Joe Biden is going to have to enter the presidency and do that. I don't think, or recommend whatever the federal government can in that direction. He hadn't wanted to do it because, he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't. Who wants to start their presidency by saying, let's all now join our new president in constricting our economy? You don't want to do that. But Trump's not going to give him, obviously, any transition cushion on that. Trump's not going to do anything. It's always been a balance. Keep our economy functioning because there is a moral and economic reason to do that. But let's not kill people needlessly because that we have no vaccine for this raging, very contagious virus, and 1% doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a whole lot of our fellow Americans who die. And let's
250,000 people.
And let's not run our hospitals, overrun our hospitals, and have to set up temporary quarters in War Memorial Stadium, which is one thing they planned for back in the spring. So it's all a balancing, and the balance is moving because the cases have doubled. And we're entering indoor flu season, which might well be indoor coronavirus season, a hard winter. But what we've got to do, and what everybody is saying, nobody's saying, well, some people are saying lockdown for 4 weeks and that will do it. But most others are saying, let's surgically reduce our economy. Let's figure, there are things you just got to stop doing. We need that. We need it to be smart surgery. And then we need a little teeth in these, in the mask thing. We really do. I mean, the mask, if we possibly can. I mean, we have a mask mandate. But if you're in the store and you're not doing it, the store is not going to risk the trouble that could ensue, the political rage of enforcing it. Enforcing it at the door firmly by strict state regulation and police oversight. I know that sounds scary, like a police state. I'm just saying these things work and they're not onerous, and we've got to do more than we're doing in order to get through this winter.
Yep. But we've politicized masks now, so
of course, we politicized the virus.
Yeah.
The presidential race was the virus scoffers voted election day. We counted their votes early, and then the virus respecters overtook them by about 5 million votes through the mail vote. That's what we just observed in this country. Yep. That's the divide.
All right, he's John Brummett with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to get your take.
And to be asked for it. Thank you. All right.
That's all for today's program. We'll see you next time.
You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners. You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners.